back to Rock Point Children's Ministry.
Online.
That's right. We are so glad to be with you again. You know what, Miss Angie? We're having a new transition here.
Yes, this week.
Yes, because you know what? For, gosh, how many weeks has it been since
March.
mid-March?
Mid-March,
We
right.
have been doing online videos because, you know what? We haven't been able to do kids' church.
Exclusively.
That's right.
Yep,
Exclusively
nothing else.
online because we haven't been able to do kids' church on site. But guess what? Not now.
Yep,
This week, Children's Church.
that's right.
So excited about that. But we also know that because of social distancing, we have to make sure everybody is spread out in the main sanctuary. We can't have everybody
Right.
back at the same time. And also, you know, there's some times where maybe some people are saying, hey, we just want to wait a little bit to make sure it's like super, super safe.
Yeah.
And that's cool too. So we want to make sure we're going to continue to do the online videos until we can all be back
That's right.
and all do Children's Church together. So yeah, that's right. I'm so excited for this next part. So, but you know what? Before that, we don't want to jump too far ahead. So all month long, we're talking
Right.
about God's help.
Yes, we're in the
Right.
book of Exodus.
Exodus, we finally got out of the book of Genesis.
I know, it took us
Whew.
a month and a half to get through Genesis,
Yes.
but that's all good because there's
Like-
lots in there. But now we're up to Exodus.
Now we're in the book of Exodus,
Yep.
and we're talking about God's help, and we focused on baby Moses last
Yep.
week, right?
Yep, we had Bob Ross was here.
Bob Ross was here, and he had a friendly little alligator that was so adorable. Yes.
That was cute.
You know, hey, that's
Yes,
what
that's
happens,
right.
man.
That's
That's
right.
the Nile River.
That's
Got
right.
alligators. That's what happens. So, but today we're gonna start our story now from where that story left off.
Right.
But before we get there, we should maybe give a little bit of a recap.
Okay.
All right. So, baby Moses was born.
Right. Well, he was born, but then they had to protect him and hide him
Right.
because that's the time when Pharaoh said, there's
Yeah.
too many Israelites and we don't want that many, so a lot of the baby boys weren't allowed to
Right.
stay alive and grow.
That's
And, but Moses' mom hid him.
That's right. So then
Until it was too big.
That's
Yep.
right. He hit him so he did not get killed by the Egyptians.
Right.
And hid him away until he got too big. Where, you know, once you get to
Yeah.
be a little bit bigger of a baby, it's kind of hard to hide.
You get
Right.
kind of noisy.
A little bit noisy.
A lot of it.
And all the
noisy.
parents are like, oh yeah,
We know,
a
right.
lot noisy.
Yes.
But do you remember that she took him and put him in a basket down
Mm-hmm.
the river, and Pharaoh's daughter picked him up and said, I've always wanted a baby,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? I need somebody to help me take care of the baby. And Moses' sister Miriam said, hey, I
Lo
got a great
and
idea.
behold, right.
I know this great lady. She's an Israelite, but you know
Yeah.
she'd be happy to take care of it.
Yeah.
Which was Moses' mother, which is so cool,
Right.
right? And then, as soon as he got old enough, Moses' mother brought him back so that he could be raised in the palace itself, and that's where the story left off.
That's right. We stopped right there.
Which I think, by the way, I know it's sad that you don't get to be with your mom, but living in a palace is pretty sweet,
Pretty
right?
sweet. Well, I have never lived in a palace. Have you?
No.
No.
Nope,
So I don't
I
really
have
know.
never lived
But I
in a
imagine it
palace.
would be pretty good.
I imagine it would be great.
Yes.
But that's where our story starts off here. So we're going to learn more about God's help. So that
Right.
kind of gives you the backstory of it. But before we get too far, what should we do, Miss Angie?
We should do some worship.
Yeah, we
Yep.
should. Let's get some worship. And you know what? I want to get our heart ready. Let's do it.
Yep. All right, let's
let's
go.
go.
All right, come on, loosen up. Let's get ready for this next song. So many stories in the pages of the Bible. So many people making choices trying to take the right thing. And so I listen and I wonder what they're saying.
what you're calling me to. With all of your strength, I got no excuse. 'Cause broken people are exactly who you use. Give me faith like Daniel in the lion's den. Give me hope like Moses in the wilderness. Give me a heart like David, Lord, be my defense, so I can face my giants with confidence. You took a shepherd boy and made him a king. So I'm gonna trust you and give you everything. I'll be a conqueror, 'cause you fight for me. I'll be a champion, claiming your victory. Give me faith like Daniel in the lion's den. Give me hope like Moses in the wilderness. Give me a heart like David, Lord, be my defense, so I can face my giants with confidence. I'm gonna sing and shout and shake the wall. Won't stop until I see him fall. I'm gonna stand up when you call. Jesus, Jesus. I'm gonna sing and shout and shake the wall. Won't stop until I see him fall. I'm gonna stand up when you call. Jesus. Give me faith like Daniel in the lion's den. Give me hope like Moses in the wilderness. Give me a heart like David, Lord, be my defense, so I can face my giants with confidence. Give me faith like Daniel in the lion's den. Give me hope like Moses in the wilderness. Give me a heart like David, Lord, be my defense, so I can face my giants with confidence. I'll face my giants with confidence.
Good worship, Miss Angie.
It's always good.
Always
stuff.
good worship. So our hearts are prepared now, and we are ready to hear the story.
Ready for the story.
So
Correct.
yeah, here's the cool thing. So we left off. So Moses is living in Pharaoh's palace. Now
Yes,
Pharaoh
pretty
is
sweet.
the most powerful person.
Yeah.
And here he is getting raised in the palace like his own grandson. Got to be nice.
Yes.
So you would think that living in that luxury with everything you could ever imagine, you would think Moses probably doesn't need God's help anymore.
Yeah, he's all set to go because he's grown up and he's got probably any food he wants, whatever he wants, and all the clothes he could require, and maybe stuff that I don't know, extras. I don't know what Moses would need by then, but extra stuff and things to keep him busy, and he's all set. No help needed, right? It's good to go.
See, you would think that just because you have all the earthly stuff that you don't
Right.
need God's help anymore, but that is not true, right? And so now we're going to catch up with the story that Moses is now all grown up, still living in the palace, but guess what? Little spoiler, he still needs God's help.
Yeah, he did.
He does. Let's take a look.
The Faithful Hall of Fame, Moses. This is Moses.
Heyo.
Moses was an Israelite boy born in Egypt in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
The Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians. But God had a special plan for Moses,
Oh, eh?
and he spent his childhood in the palace of the Pharaoh. You see, when Moses grew up, he made a big mistake.
Uh-oh.
Pharaoh found out what Moses had done, and he tried to have Moses killed.
Ah!
So Moses ran away from Egypt. He stopped in the land of Midian, and 7 sisters came to the well to give water to their father's flock. Some shepherds came to drive them away,
Hey, you.
but Moses stood up for the women.
Hey.
Now these sisters were the daughters of the Midianite priest named Jethro. When Jethro heard what Moses did for his daughters, he sent for Moses. So Moses came to live among the Midianites, and he married Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters.
Huh?
Meanwhile, back in Egypt, the old Pharaoh died, but he was replaced by a new Pharaoh who continued to treat the Israelites poorly.
Oh, man.
The Israelites cried out to God because of the terrible things that the Pharaoh made them do. God heard these people and knew it was time to act. One day, Moses was tending Jethro's flock when an angel of the Lord appeared to Moses through a burning bush that would not burn up.
What? Oh.
Moses stopped to look at the bush, and he heard the voice of God say, "Moses, Moses."
Hello?
God then told Moses how sad he was because of the suffering of his people. He told Moses that he wanted to do something about it, and he wanted Moses to be the one to do it.
Oh, me?
But Moses did not think he was the right person to go. God said, "I will be with you."
Morning.
But Moses said that he wouldn't know the right thing to say to the people. So God said to tell the people that God himself had sent him and promised Moses that his plan would be fulfilled through Moses. But Moses still said to God that he did not think the people would believe him. So God said, "What is that in your hand?"
Oh, me?
Moses said, "A staff." God told Moses to throw it on the ground.
Wow, okay.
Then God told Moses to catch it. God showed Moses another sign
Huh? Phew.
and told him to show these signs to the people if they did not believe what he said. Moses still didn't think he would have the right words to say, but God said that he himself was the one who made a man's mouth and gave him the ability to speak, so there was no need to worry. Yet even after all this, Moses said, "God, please send someone else." Then God got mad at Moses,
Oops.
and said that he would send Moses' brother Aaron to speak for Moses. So Moses went back to his father-in-law and told him that he needed to go back to Egypt. Moses and his family started their journey back to Egypt, and Moses carried the staff of God in his hand, for this staff would be the tool God would use to demonstrate his awesome power to the Israelites and to the Egyptians.
I like those videos.
Every week, I feel like we say that same thing, but they are so good. I've heard
I
from more
know.
kids and adults going, "Man, I love those videos."
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Every week we get people that say they like the videos.
Yep.
So yeah.
I
And
like
like
the
how
little-
they tell the story, but it's not like really long, and it's just enough, and it's easy and clear and good to understand the whole thing.
I do like how they're saying hello or they're upset and they're going, "Get on out of here."
I know their little voices.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Very cool stuff. Well, I hope you guys like them too. But you know, what do you think of that story?
What do I think of it?
Yeah.
I think there's a couple specific things for me that stand out in that story. I like how when God gives Moses his purpose, tells him, "Look, I want you to do this."
Yep.
Moses goes, "Nah, I don't think so."
Yeah.
And God tells him again, "Look, I'm with you. It's good. I got your back." And in my head, as I watch the video, I almost think, okay, now Moses is going to say, "Oh, I get it." But he doesn't.
No.
He goes, "Nah, I don't think so." And God says, "Look, here's a sign to show you that I'm with you. I got your back." And Moses still goes, "I don't think so." You know, like, yeah, I think maybe by the third or fourth time in my head, I was thinking, well, now this is when Moses says, okay, I'm ready. But he doesn't. Over and over and over again. And God doesn't take the purpose away from him then. He just gives them another chance. Okay, look, I know that you're nervous about this. And that's when, you know, he lets Aaron speak for him and do all that afterwards. But, yeah, I like how he still kept the purpose for Moses, even though Moses didn't think he was going to be able to do it.
Well, I think we all do that sometimes. I bet you, whether it's the parents or the kids at home, we all feel that you know, there's something that we're not good at, or you know, somebody asks us to do something and we're like, oh, I don't think I can handle that or whatever. But you know, the thing is, when God asks us to do something, he'll always provide what we need to do the job. Right?
And even if we know that, sometimes you still want to say, I don't think so.
I think you're right. If, you know, to put in context though, right, is sometimes, you know, we read a story and we go, okay, I think I understand the story, but we forget that these aren't just stories that came out of notes that somebody made up. This happened in real life.
Yeah.
In order to understand exactly what was going on, we can go back and think about, here was Moses growing up in this really privileged household, in a place where he probably could eat anything he wanted, have whatever he wanted, like, you know, bring me grapes, and there were the grapes, right? I mean,
they probably brought it right to him.
Right. So essentially, you know, his grandfather was the Pharaoh, right? So the idea of being in such privilege, and then all of a sudden he gets into a fight with an Egyptian soldier. Yep. You know, rightfully so, he had the right to be angry with what the soldier was doing, but he did not have the right to kill the soldier, which caused him to do. Caused him to have a little bit of problems, so he had to run away before they captured him. Right. And he ends up living in the wilderness. So he goes from a place where he has everything he needs to a barren wasteland of a desert.
Yeah, where there's nothing.
Where there's nothing.
No grapes, no pop, no sandwich, no nothing.
And he has to start all over again, and guess what? No family. He's got nothing now.
Right. All by himself.
All alone.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Just like we saw in that video, Moses is a good guy. He even stands up for the women that were at the well.
That's right.
Right? He stands up for them as they go to get it. Some people come over there and start messing with him, and he's like, hey, back off. Leave him alone.
Or in the video.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
And he's actually a really good guy.
Yeah.
Right? And Jethro notices that because that's his daughters that he was defending. And he just says, okay, here is a new life. And now he is on with his new life. And that's when God calls him. Right. You know, God didn't call him when he was in the palace. God called him then.
Yes, interesting.
And I think you're right, though. And during that conversation with God, Moses thinks that he can't handle what's being given to him. I think that is that one aspect that I struggle with, because out of any person that should know that, I mean, God is sitting there literally in a burning bush telling him to do something, and
hello,
right. You know, hey, throw that staff down, turns into a snake. I mean, who else could do that kind of stuff but God, right? And even with that, he was still a little nervous. But I think what you were saying earlier reminds me of a term that we learned earlier this year called mercy, right?
Yes, we talked about that with Noah.
Yeah.
Right.
So even though Moses said, God, you know, I'm not your guy. You want me to go free your people from Pharaoh, and, you know, I don't speak too well. My brother's really good. Maybe you should ask him, but me, I'm not so good. And I know that made God angry. And the reason I know that is because scripturally it says God was angry with him.
Right.
But he showed mercy on him and said, look, you know what? I see more in you than you see in yourself. And guess what? I'm going to give you the help that you need. But guess what? You're going to find out a little bit later that you had it all along. Right? And I do think that is so God. That is what he does.
Yeah, that's right. I know you're going to do it. And it's one of those things, like we've said before, if God says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Or if he makes a promise that this will happen, it's going to happen.
Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, but he will make it happen. And I think in Moses' weakness, Moses saw his own aspect as weakness, but God saw it as strength and saw him that he would provide even though there was a weakness there. Which brings us to our big idea for the week.
Look at
How
how
do you think of
confusing that
that?
was.
And take a look at our big idea for the week. Right there.
There.
See, our big idea of the week is God helps us in our weakness.
Whew, good thing.
Isn't that something? I always think that means that when we don't feel we have enough,
Yeah.
God will help us.
Just like that song we do,
Which one?
the worship song.
Which one?
In our weakness,
Oh, he is stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lyrics just roll.
In the darkness, he shines through. Yes.
Yep.
We shine. I love that song.
Yep.
I think that God absolutely does that, but you know what? What's the nice thing to do is to have people around you that remind you of that, like your parents at home, or your grandparents, or your small group leaders, or maybe even Miss Angie and myself.
Yeah.
They can remind you. Guess what? That's how you see yourself. We don't necessarily see you that way. We
Yeah.
see you as pretty strong, and I think that's pretty awesome. So, how about we pray?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yep.
You want to pray? You want me to pray?
Sure, I can pray.
All right.
Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this opportunity to reach out to all of our families here at Rock Point and share this lesson with the kids, Lord, and the parents as well. That you are with us at all times through all of our moments, Lord, but especially when we feel weak or we feel like we just can't do what you're asking us to do, Lord. I love this story and that you remind us that even though we are not too sure, you are sure. You are 100% positive, and like we said, if you say something's going to happen, Lord, it will, and we thank you for your mercy and for your love and your strength that you give us when we maybe don't have so much of it. In your Son's name, amen.
Amen, Miss Angie. You know, I think about this story, and there's so much in it, but I think there's also some stuff that the families can do at home. Maybe we skip right to our family discussion questions. What do you think of that?
Okay, you threw me for a loop.
I know.
We were
Sometimes
doing
it get a little
review
crazy. I know. I was thinking about it, but I thought, you know what?
Crazy.
We should totally get the family questions out there, because this is stuff, families, this is stuff you can do at home. It doesn't have to be done like right now. It could be tonight or at some point
right
during the week. But it will help drive the point home of the story and our theme for the week and for the month.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Okay.
All right, Miss Angie, what do we got?
All right. Family question number 1.
What?
What do you think is your weakness? Now, everybody's is probably different.
Yep.
You know, if somebody is, I don't know, whatever your weakness is, your parents probably have a different one, or your sibling has a different one. So.
Well, you know, Miss
doesn't have
Angie,
to
you
be
think
the same.
about weakness always has a negative connotation to it, right?
Yeah,
Because
you
it
know
says,
it
what
does,
is-
and you hate to admit that you maybe have one.
Oh my gosh, of course, who wants to say, well, I'm not so good at this, right? You could say,
Yeah.
name something you're good at, and we could all list 1,000 things. You name something you're bad at, and we're like, nothing,
Nothing I
right?
want to tell you.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So we think of that. But you know what, it's funny, like I think of even superheroes have weaknesses, right? Who is, let me ask you, Miss Angie, who is the, strongest, biggest superhero that you know?
Superman.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Because he can fly and go super,
Super
fast
strength,
and
jump over
fly so
stuff.
fast. Remember that movie where he makes the time go backwards? Because he
Oh, that's
flew
right.
around the earth so fast that moment hadn't happened yet.
He changed directions which way the earth went.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But you remember it.
I do remember it. And he made time go backwards because he flew around so fast.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even Superman has a weakness, right?
That's right.
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite, that's
So
right.
everybody has a weakness, and it is not possible that you are fantastic in everything.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean you can't do what God asks you to do, because
right.
He will always help you in those weaknesses as well. So what is your weakness, and then how do you
How do you think God can help you be strong even when you're feeling weak?
Now, this might be something that the whole family can kind of talk about, so it's not just personal about you, but how can we all help each other in our weaknesses? Because
Yeah,
usually
sure.
what you'll find in those families is there's one person's strength, there's another person's weakness, and vice versa. Whatever somebody is weak in, maybe somebody in that family, I bet you is good at it.
Is that
Isn't
convenient?
that crazy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good.
All
That's
right.
kind of goes with the next question.
All right.
Is it easy or hard to ask for help?
Oh, way difficult, Miss Angie.
Yeah.
It is so hard to ask for help.
It's easy to give help, though. Isn't that funny?
Absolutely.
Isn't that funny? Somebody you know needs help, and you go, "Oh, let me help you," and you don't want them to feel bad when you're offering help and
Yes.
stuff. But when it's the other way around, it's really not so easy. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I think it's because it's that big word, that humility word, that humble. We should all be, but Jesus calls us to be
Yeah.
humble, right? As Christians, we should do that, and we should let ourselves I think about even what Jesus did. I know we're talking about the Old Testament, but everything points to Jesus in the long run. But even when Jesus is more than happy to wash the disciples' feet at the Last Supper. But he was also willing, right, when he was visiting Mary and Martha's house,
Yes.
to get his feet washed and
Right.
perfumed over, right?
Right.
I mean, so we should be willing to not only give help and be willing to serve others, but also to be served too. But that is very hard to get help. But talk about, maybe there's a spot that you need help right now, but you just didn't ask for it. This will be a fantastic time to talk about
That's
it.
right. You're welcome. We gave it to you.
All right, we got one more?
One more.
Okay.
So, do you ask God for help? Share a time when you have asked God to help you.
Oh, that's a good one, Miss Angie. I think it is hard to not ask for God's help when you pray.
Yes.
Because it's that time where you're just spending time with just you and God. And then I think that sharing that with other people too, one, it can help other folks pray for you too. But also it's a great testimony when God does deliver something.
Yeah.
To be able to say, see, God does listen. Right? He does want to help us. So, but this would be a great opportunity to share those things with your family. Very cool. Good questions, Miss
Yeah,
Angie.
good questions. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
So we're halfway through the month, which means we have a couple more weeks left.
Yes.
And we're staying in the book of Exodus.
Right.
And might even be still talking about Moses.
I think we
I
are
think
still
we
talking
are
about
too.
Moses, and next week has some really fun things.
Yes, has some
I wanna
good
give it
things.
away,
And
yeah.
I think, we don't want to give too much away. But we're going to continue to talk about Moses and specifically about God's help during that time too. So,
Right.
you know what? We hope you guys are enjoying these things, and we will see you next week, same time. So through 8 a.m. Is when it goes live on Facebook, but you can tune in anytime
you
after
want.
8 and watch it. So
That's right.
if you have any questions, let us know. If not,
That's it.
we'll see you next week. You
We'll
guys
see you
ready?
next week.
1, 2, 3,
Let's
let's move it.
it.
Move out, everybody.